So first of all, I wanted to show you how to roast tomatoes. And I didn't bring my... And a steel, a lot of people, you'll see butchers, zip, 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 zip. This is a high carbon stainless steel knife, but it's high carbon stainless, and it has a fatigue point. And if you oversteel your knife, it's going to fatigue the edge to where it won't hold an edge anymore. So you got to understand, this doesn't sharpen your knife, this just straightens the edge, because every time you touch a hard surface or a chicken bone or something like that, it's going to put a little waver in that edge. So a few swipes, paying attention to the angle of the sharpness, the bevel of the edge, and you're going to straighten that edge, and it's going to glide through things that before you did. I should have tried a tomato before that, because it probably, I've been doing other things and it probably wouldn't cut a tomato. But at this point, it'll just glide through it. So for roasted tomatoes, I would encourage you to use Roma tomatoes and quarter them like this. The stem on a Roma tomato is really insignificant. It's just a pinpoint. But once you cut your tomatoes into little canoes like this, into quarters, we're going to take some of the house marinade. I call it house marinade, and if it's your house, it's going to be your house marinade. And we're just going to toss that in a little of it. But just enough to cover. And then put them into another pan to roast, up like that. And you know how fond I am of kosher salt, and people always ask, what's the difference between kosher salt? Well, kosher, they have a very demanding level of quality, and beyond that, for people in the professional kitchen, it's coarse enough that you get a feel for how much you're putting in. Table salt that comes out through those really teeny things in a salt shaker, it's a shot in the dark for me. So I had there it is. And if you learn nothing else from this class, and you take nothing else from this class other than this, if you want to make your food better tomorrow, use fresh ground pepper, and everything you make will be better. So we're going to apply liberally some fresh ground pepper. And then you're going to roast these in a very low oven, maybe 175 degrees. And more than cooking them, you're dehydrating them a little bit. And the end product you're going to end up with is just that, more or less, a dehydrated tomato. But it changes the character of the flavor of the tomato, and in turn changes the character of the flavor of anything you make with them. And today the lunch today is made with a roasted tomato sauce that I'm going to show you a little bit how to make. So, grilled vegetables. Yeah.
How long do you leave them in the oven?
Till they're the doneness you want. You know, that's the well, it's the toughest question there is. People say, how long do you cook it? Well, every oven's different. 20 minutes at 350, 10 minutes at 700. It kind of depends on your oven, your taste. Everybody's not going to want them as cooked as I have them here. The more you cook them, the less juice there's going to be from them as it evaporates and everything. And you'll find that there's just a point where you like them. At the other side of it, you can probably buy a very fine roasted tomato product in your Trader Vic's or your upscale stores like that.
If you're using them in sauce, is it better to blanch and remove the skin first?
No, we're using the skin and everything here. Basically, blanching tomatoes and peeling the skin off is for garnish purposes. Peaches peel the same way. You put a little X. You put a little X at the non-stem end, and drop tomatoes into boiling water until the skin starts to pull up a little bit, and then scoop them out with a spider, something that a slotted spoon, and put them into ice water, and then that skin will just peel right off. Generally, we do that when we want a really nice garnish product. We'll take the seeds out and just use the shell of the tomato, and it makes nice brunoise dice that way without this. But for most cooking projects, we use the skin and all. I'm going to use a canned product to make the sauce today, diced tomatoes. Those are with peeled tomatoes, and but for this roasted tomato, not. And you just put them in there like that, and on a slow oven, they'll slowly dehydrate, and it's probably going to be 30 minutes, maybe a little more. But it gives you a wonderful product to use afterwards, and it changes the complexion and the color and everything else.